Good morning, everyone. Welcome to TechSafeHer 2025, day 2. Hope you're excited. I have excited people in this room. Welcome again. My name is Okosha Ogechi, and I'm glad to have you all here on this digital safety and protection training. So if you're new on this program today, please share your name, your state, where you're connecting from in the chat box. Thank you. For those of us that will like to ask questions during and after the presentation, feel free to ask your questions and add your names and state for identification in the chat box. Thank you. So very shortly, I'll be reading the citation of our facilitator, Emmanuel Edet. Emmanuel Edet is a distinguished legal and technology policy expert with over 2 decades of experience shaping Nigeria's digital governance landscape. His expertise lies at the intersection of law and information technology, where he has led and participated in the effort designed to create legal framework for digital economy in Nigeria. As the Director of Regulation and Compliance at the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, he is charged with pioneering work on online harms, digital platform, regulation technology contracting, cyber security policy, internet governance, and digital transformation. Emmanuel holds an advanced degree in computer and telecommunication law and has acquired certifications in internet governance, e-government strategy, standard information security, artificial intelligence deployment, and cybersecurity policy and regulation. His contribution extends beyond Nigeria, having served as a fellow at the United Nations office in Geneva and collaborated with Diplo Foundation on inclusive digital diplomacy and capacity building for developing countries. He is also a member of Government Advisory Council of the Internet Corporation and Assigned Name and Numbers, ICANN, and a trustee of the Nigerian Internet Registration Association, NIMRA. He is a regular speaker at the Global and National Forum. He is a strong advocate for participatory policy that promotes African active roles in shaping global AI regulation and ethical digital policy. When he's not working, he plays video game and unwinds with his family. Ladies and gentlemen, with this opportunity, let's welcome, as we are privileged to have in the room, Mr. Emmanuel Edet, all the way from Marrakesh, Morocco. Welcome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Sorry, please, can you confirm if you can hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. And good morning to everyone on this call. Thank you for taking time out to join this conversation, because I usually like to call it conversations. As you may have heard from my profile, I've been working in the area of digital technologies for more than 20 years now. And primarily my work has been to facilitate the use of digital technologies, especially in Nigeria, and ensure that such facilitation to a great extent provides the kind of comfort that we require to use these technologies safely. For today, we are going to be talking about digital safety and protection, and we are focusing on women now, because what we have discovered is that the society generally transfers its bias to technology, because most of the technology are designed based on the cultures that we have experienced, and the culture online is certainly not different from the culture offline. And so what you may experience in the offline environment sometimes is amplified in the online environment, because online has the capacity to go beyond just your doorstep. It enters into your bedroom, it follows you to your bathroom as long as you carry those devices. And then the question is, how do you manage the challenges that and gender issues that women face a little bit online? I'm sure yesterday you had all the definitions and conversations around the various concepts. So I think I would stay away from that and go into the nitty-gritty. So welcome everyone, and please feel free to ask your questions where you will. So I'm sure the moderators will be able to get those questions across to me as soon as possible. I'll watch out for them as well. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right, so today our learning objectives are very simple, and they are basically three, even though you're going to learn a few more things. First of all, we'd like you to understand the risk involved in using digital technologies. There is nothing that does not have a risk. You wake up in the morning, you're stepping out of your house, there's always a risk that an event can happen. Most times those risks do not actually happen, but there are threats that are always roaming around everywhere you go. And so it's the same thing that happens whenever we are having any type of conversation, and it will also affect you at the end of the day. So for me, we need to understand the risk that is available in the online environment. We need to protect ourselves from the potential abuse, and we need to maintain a safer online presence so that you can use this technology comfortably. So we'll discuss that. We'll also discuss the practical tools that you can use to equip yourself. I have a colleague who will always say that the best line of defense is self-defense. That's always the best line of defense. So we should be able to understand how to defend ourselves against any form of attack, any form of issue that has to do with our presence online. Usually, because of regulations, most of the platforms in the online environment have inbuilt tools that are designed to protect you. Just like you do not, when you're using Zoom, you do not automatically turn on your camera. You only turn on your camera when you are ready to be seen. You only speak when you're ready, and those kind of things. Of course, there are privacy settings which are inbuilt into these platforms, and you would do well to read through those privacy settings and use them very well. And then, of course, you have to build resilience. Sometimes, in spite of understanding the risk and learning the practical tools to protect you, things still go through. You still get to experience the kind of, sometimes from someone you actually know very well. And in such a case, you have to find support from requisite people and places. You also have to discuss and have conversations with people, so you will understand how people have dealt with such issues before. And then you have to be resilient, and you extend your helping hand to people as well, so that they will understand that the online environment is not different from the offline environment, but it's just that the impact on the online environment is amplified because those devices enter everywhere you can imagine. Next slide, please. So the first question we are going to ask ourselves, and which I believe that some conversations around this was done yesterday, is what is technology-facilitated gender-based violence? This is, in a simple thing, it refers to gender abuse using digital tools. Examples are there on your slide: online harassment, doxing, non-consensual image sharing, cyber stalking, cyber bullying, making available sexually based materials to people who do not generally consent to them. And the objectifying of the gender is also another issue that is very, very troublesome these days, because where you find most of this is usually on free platforms. And when I say free platforms, those kind of places that you go when you want to get free things, you want to get the free software, you want to get a free application to solve your problems. So it kind of puts you at risk. And most people don't really understand how to manage such risk, because every site you visit has cookies, and those cookies are designed to track wherever you go on the internet, especially when you're using a web browser. Normally, cookies are good because they give you a better browsing experience. So when you visit a particular site, they track what you do on that site. And whenever it is necessary, they may use that information to provide better services to you. But at the same time, also, that tracking enables them to know exactly your internet habits and design products that may eventually be used to define you, determine who you are. Take, for example, if a child gets on Instagram, for example, and the child claims that he or she is an adult, there's always a way of knowing that the account is a child, because you can easily see who the child relates with. You can easily see who the child is a friend with. You can see the content that the child is watching and consuming. And that will be able to help you understand the exact position of the age of the child as far as using the internet is concerned. So this type of tracking creates an opportunity for people to have access to your information. Number one, they may not be able to get across to you, but I think eventually they would be able to track where you are. They will be able to track your kind of interest. They'll be able to track your gender, because seriously speaking, what men look for on the internet is not exactly the type of things that women look for on the internet. And so this gives an opportunity for all the negative things that we are talking about: online harassment, non-consensual image sharing, and cyber stalking. I had a mentor who used to tell me that in the online environment, if you do not want evidence to exist, then it simply means you do not create such evidence. Can you give me a second, please? All right, apologies for that. So it's important that we understand where we are on the internet, what we are doing on the internet, and also ensure that when we are leaving trails on the internet, we try as much as possible to mask our real identity, because it's a big problem when your identity is out there on the internet. So next slide, please. Okay, so common forms of Gender-based violence facilitated by technology include online harassment, where people use digital platforms to intimidate, threaten, bully individuals, and lead to severe emotional distress and withdrawal from online communities. A lot of celebrities are the ones that experience this kind of things, because people may not be able to get to you physically, but because you have a presence online and they know you're going to read those things that they post online, they post threats, they post things that are very painful and hurtful. Sometimes they even go as far as altering your photograph using artificial intelligence, which is readily available now. They use those tools to create images that will indicate otherwise who you are. We've seen instances where someone can take hold of your photograph and use artificial intelligence to create an image of you that is naked and post it. And because people are so vulnerable, so to speak, a lot of people will believe these things. And usually it's always extremely difficult because the internet never forgets. The internet, once you post something on the internet, it doesn't go away. You would believe that you delete it. Yes, you can, they will give you the opportunity to delete, but believe me, that content is still on the server. It's just that it prevents you or people from having access to it. It doesn't go away. So technically speaking, delete doesn't remove anything. It just makes sure that people don't have access to see those things again, but they are still there in the server and can be recalled at any point in time. So whenever you're posting a content, whenever you're posting an image, always remember that the internet never forgets. And if you have an opinion today, your opinion may change tomorrow, but what you posted today will not change tomorrow. And those things, we've seen instances where politicians are called to reckon for things they had said on the internet previously and the positions that they have changed. Of course, doxing is just a simple act of revealing some personal information without your consent. I know there's a case that just came to us recently. Somebody went to a designer and the designer designed some clothes for her and took pictures of her. And then the next thing, she saw her picture all over Instagram and she wasn't very comfortable because she's not even a social media person. It was even people that were calling her, we saw your picture here, we saw your picture there. And she asked the person to take it down. The person absolutely refused. Well, this may not be an extreme case of doxing, but there are instances where some people will share intimate pictures, share information about their parents, share information about something to someone who they think is actually a friend. And then at the end of the day, it turns out that the information that was shared becomes public knowledge, on which may end up causing embarrassment. And then, of course, the non-consensual image sharing, that one is also the same thing. People can share your image once those images are available online. Believe me, they never go away. I had a personal experience where when I was much younger, I had this girlfriend who I took pictures with. Don't worry, they were not intimate pictures. They were public pictures. We went for an occasion and I took a picture with her. And then I posted it on my Facebook platform. Fast forward several years later, I did not marry her. I got to marry someone else. And then those images were used to harass me, so to speak. So it's not just about and the harassment wasn't just me, it was also my wife. And so it wasn't something very, very pleasant because I had to take down a lot of images from then. I think I did learn that whenever you're posting, you should be absolutely careful. Can you please give me a second? I think there's a lot of background noise where I am. Just give me 2 seconds. I'll get back to you, please. Sorry about that. Uh, one of the things that we also have conversations around is what is the impact of tech-based or tech-facilitated gender-based violence? Okay, thank you very much. I was just, there's a lot of background noise, and I wanted to avoid that background noise because I'm in a public place. Anyway, so tech-facilitated gender-based violence can lead to silencing, which is very, very impactful. You may consider silence as a good thing at some point, but where you are unable to speak up for yourself, where you are unable to go online and express those things that you feel like expressing, be careful of what you express anyway, it becomes a sort of problem and emotional distress for people who do not actually have the kind of, we would call it liver, who do not actually have the kind of experience in dealing with all this kind of violence as they affect human beings, especially the female gender. There's also the possibility of withdrawal from digital spaces. We've heard a lot of celebrities will tell you, I am going off social media. It's not because they want to go off social media, but they've experienced so many forms of abuse that you cannot imagine the impact it has on them. So imagine somebody stopping you on the streets and abusing you, because the danger there is that if someone successfully builds an online narrative about you, and that narrative is bought or is accepted by the general public, it will get to a point where people can literally stop you on the street and actively harass you based on that narrative online. So it's not just about the impact it has online, it's also about the impact it has offline. So you walk in the street, somebody accuses you of infidelity, and then everybody looks at you as if you're the worst person in the whole world. And it becomes a big problem. So those kind of gender-based violence makes people to withdraw, makes people to stop having any kind of relationship with the world, and this affects you psychologically. In advanced climates, a lot of people spend money actually trying to get psychological treatment for those kind of challenges. Next slide, please. So, what is your digital identity? It's not your name, no? Because there are various things that happen on the internet which you may not be aware of, but they kind of build an identity around you. First of all, let me start by telling you this. Wherever a product, I need us to understand this clearly and understand the risk we take. Wherever you get a product for free on the internet, it means that it's your personal data that you're using to pay for that product. So I'll tell you a good example, Gmail, Google, yeah? So you have a Gmail, it's free. They give you, I think it's up to about 15 gigabytes free. Now, let's look at it from the angle of Google. Google needs to pay for that space. They need to pay electricity bill to maintain the servers where you're sitting on. They need to also pay for the security to ensure that your email is protected. When you use your password, it's only your password that happens. They have to pay personnel to manage those things. And the question is, if they incur those expenses, do you think they will give out that space for free? It's just like somebody building a house and telling you to come and occupy the house for free. I mean, unless the person is your father or something, but definitely somebody cannot do a business and build some form of technology and give it out for free. So what then now happens is that for every information you provide that is your personal information to Google, they use that information to track your activities across all of their platforms. So whether you're using Google Maps, they know everywhere you go each time you browse Google Maps. Whether you are using any other product from Google like YouTube, they know exactly what you watch. They know exactly your taste. If you move on to Facebook and Instagram, is exactly the same thing. So what they now do is that they carry that your data and share with people to inform them that we have somebody you can advertise with, and they use that advertisement to make their money. So that's how they break even whenever they give you free services. So your digital identity is out there online, and that's why they accumulate information from you. First of all, they ask you your name. They don't stop at your name. Most times they'll ask you your phone number. Sometimes they ask you your date of birth. Sometimes they ask you your mother's maiden name. So what happens is that when you aggregate all this information, it will point to a single person online, because two people cannot have the same mother's maiden name and have the same date of birth and have the same phone number and have the same name. It's just not possible. So from those differentials, they are able to pinpoint who Emmanuel is, and then you will be able to track what Emmanuel does in an online environment. So all your online activities, interaction, posts, comments, likes, shared files, photos, and search history are what constitutes your digital identity online. So if you post your picture online, because of facial recognition software, anywhere else your picture appears, they can easily trace and identify that this is the same person. Haven't you noticed in Facebook, sometimes when you open Facebook and you see a picture, it will suggest, if the person is your friend, it will suggest the name of the person because it has recognized the person from previous pictures, which the person has been named. So before you click, before you have any interaction online, you need to think carefully because it's very important. Just I have a friend, Hakim Ajijola. He used to jokingly tell us, he said, look, for those of us who have been to Abuja, I say you see that very big signboard that is in front of Transcorp Hilton, that is an advertising billboard. So just imagine that everything you're posting online is appearing on that board for everybody to see. That's the way, that's a concept you should have about posting things in an online environment. So we should be extremely cautious. I mean, you have a baby, you give your wife or you personally give birth to a baby, and the first thing you do is snap the baby and post on social media. You already exposed that child in a way that the child is not even conscious of. And those are things that I always advise people, be careful. You go on a holiday, you post your pictures on Facebook and say, oh, I'm in Marrakesh, I'm in Casablanca, enjoying myself. And then you don't know, you're absolutely telling thieves who can browse your profile that, oh, I'm not at home. So you can go and do whatever you like in my house. And then if you are a frequent traveler and you post all those pictures, you're also exposing yourself to the potential that you have enough money. So when you get kidnapped, you'll be able to pay more ransom than any regular person. So it's important that you do not post anything online you will not like somebody to see, because I'm not saying you should go off social media. Social media has its uses. I'm on X, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Google, I'm on all those platforms, but you need to understand the implications of what you are doing in an online environment. Don't be careless about it, because social engineering is a big problem. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk about online safety basics, passwords, and privacy. So first of all, whenever you're signing off on any product, they will always ask you, do you want us to track your location? Always say no. Unless your location is absolutely necessary to provide the service, like when you're talking about Uber or Google Maps or Bolt, you know your location is important because the taxi needs to pick you on that location. But apart from that, access to your address book, access to your camera, access to your pictures, access to your location. Those are extremely sensitive things that you should not allow any app have that access unless the app needs that access to function. So for Instagram, for example, if you want to post a picture, Instagram needs to have access to your gallery and your camera. We can understand that. But if, for example, an app like Uber wants to have access to your camera, what does it need your camera for? Because it's not essential to provide taxi services. So it's important for us to ensure that we have strong passwords, because all people that use weak passwords, there are many tools that can help crack passwords. What happens is that there's a database that has all the popular passwords that people ever use. And so sometimes people use password as password. Sometimes people use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as password. You know, all those basic things. Those ones are too simple to crack. Usually we advise that you use a unique password. So for example, a combination of birthdays, 2 alphabets from any of your children's, something you can remember, because one of the greatest difficulties is that we forget our passwords, even though there's a password recovery tool in almost every application now. But you need to ensure that whatever password you use, if the policy permits, you can use characters, you can use signs and symbols, you can use figures, you can use whatever combination you want to use, but make sure it is a unique combination that you can remember. Avoid birthdays as your password, because people can easily guess. Everybody knows your birthday, everybody knows your child's birthday. So a combination of those things will help. Two-factor authentication. One of the things that a lot of these technology companies have done is that they try to use two-factor authentication, which means that you have to sign in using two different security layers. So take, for example, you want to sign into your WhatsApp, for example. They will need your phone number. They will need your password. They'll even need you to unlock the screen once in a while to ensure that you have the two-factor authentication. Where it's only one factor, there's a higher risk. And then always ensure you review your privacy setting. Decide what the app should share about you. Decide what the app should do with the information you're sharing on the app. Is very important. And then for your personal information, avoid oversharing. Nobody should know what you had for lunch or where you had lunch. It's not important. Nobody should know about your children in the online environment. Give them a chance. Yes, eventually they'll get to use social media, but let them use it. Do not push them into the limelight. Do not share things that are intimate, because they can be used against you in future. I know there was a case in the United States where a gentleman knocked over somebody and the person died, and he was being prosecuted for it, and he was begging and claiming that it was a mistake. And then he just went to a party, and then in the party, it was a costume party, so he dressed like a prisoner. And then he was bragging in the party that nobody can touch him, that he has killed somebody and he's going to get away with it. And all the prosecutor did was just grab hold of that video he posted on social media and placed it in court. And the judge Of course, the jury convicted him and he was sentenced to maximum years imprisonment. Now, if he had not made that post, I don't think he would have gotten the kind of severe punishment which he did. So let's avoid oversharing. It's not everything that you think or everything that you do that should go into the online environment. So the basics are this: minimize what you share online. Always try as much as possible to use direct messaging to contact who you want to contact and not broadcast. And then as much as possible, whatever you are sharing, check your privacy settings to understand who you are sharing it with. In a situation where you share something with a friend and the friends of that friend and the friends and friends and friends up to the 20th level can actually see, then that means you're broadcasting it to the whole world unconsciously, which is a dangerous trend because people who don't know you will get to know you in an online environment without your knowledge. Next slide, please. Of course, when you're talking about technology-facilitated gender-based violence, you should recognize and respond to those threats. There are messages that come to you, unwanted messages. For example, there was a day I was going through my mail, I saw a message from a guy who basically told me that he had caught me because I've done something wrong and he was going to report me to the police, and he asked me to click a link if I want to have a conversation with him. Of course, I knew immediately that it was a scam, and I knew that once I click on that link, that is when I'm going to enter the main trouble. Because a lot of those links which you click on may actually permit somebody to have access to your computer system and get all the information available in your computer system. It may also give the person an opportunity to place what is called a bot, which is basically a robot inside your system to track everything you're doing on your computer system. And for those of you who are seeing me on my camera, it's also possible that people can remotely activate your camera and have access to the environment that the camera can show. Those are possibilities. And how do they have this access? By you clicking on links from unwanted messages. So where you receive a message and you don't know the sender, or you don't trust the sender, you can, it's best for you not to click on those links. Where there's blackmail, as long as your conscience is clear and you know you have not done anything wrong, avoid answering or responding to blackmail messages. And then there's also the possibility that once you post your picture online, people can copy those pictures. Like I mentioned, the internet never forgets. People can copy those pictures and use it to create fake profiles with your name. And so when they use those profiles to commit crime, it will be traced back to you. This is not something that I think you would want. So it's very important that you avoid posting pictures that are unnecessary, and then also ensure that your presence online is guarded jealously, because all these things will show you that there are dangerous people out there. I'm sure some of you know about the deep web, which is an area of the internet that people hardly go. The surface area of the internet where most of us are comfortable and float around is just about 10% of the internet. There are other aspects where you have specialized browsers that you can actually go into some part of the internet that is considered as the wild, wild west, where anything goes and anything can happen. I advise you not to go there because you go there at your own risk. So let's look out for unwanted messages, threats, or blackmails and avoid them. And then fake profiles that may impersonate you. As soon as you find that, please report to the social media platform so that it can be taken down adequately. So just be careful. Next slide, please. Now, whether we like it or not, we need to respond to some of these things. The first thing you need to do is ensure that you have evidence of all the things that is causing you harm in an online environment. You need to download them, you need to munch them, you need to screen grab them, whatever it is you need to do. Make sure that you keep this evidence by taking screenshots and dates and effectively reporting them. Every social media platform by regulation has a reporting channel where you can report anything that is affecting you. You also have the opportunity to block those who have access to you. These are the tools that are available in most social media platforms. You can also report, as we mentioned earlier, using the tools that they have provided. You can reach out to trusted friends or professionals as well that will help you advise you on how to deal with gender-based violence. That's also another important aspect. Next slide, please. Okay. I think these concepts, we've already talked about them: cyberbullying, trolling, and doxing. These are various different forms of harassment in an online environment. And so you should do well to recognize them. It really doesn't matter what they are called. Cyberbullying is just the way people are bullying others offline. It's for some people, it's easier to do it in an online environment. So be able to identify these harms, because it's important that you should know who is trying to bully. And please, this one is a personal plea. Watch what your children are doing online, especially underaged children, whether they are your wards, whether they are people that are under your care. Do not just carelessly give them access to internet without regulating. It's just like when a child wants to cross the street, you actively ensure that child's safety. It's the same thing in an online environment. Ensure the child's safety. When you notice a change in your child, find out why that change is there. The child may be bullied, the child may be trolled, the child may have been doxxed, depending on the kind of things that they are facing. So please be extremely careful about that. Trolling is just people provoking you and mocking you to elicit a reaction from you. It's just a way of annoying you, and that's that's another way of bringing out things from you that you should not actually mention. Of course, doxing, we've talked about publishing and sharing of personal information, which should not be done. I know that, I don't know how many of you know about this issue around Ned Nwoko and one Regina. And I feel sad when I see personal information being posted to prove a point, which is absolutely wrong, absolutely wrong. So please, even you yourself, avoid posting personal information in an online environment. It's exceptionally risky. Next slide, please. Of course, your mental well-being is very, very important, which is exactly what drives you as a human being, because your intellect, let me call it your intellect, your brain is what determines how you react to certain things. So it's important for you to try as much as possible to block out those things that will eventually cause harm to you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be seclusive. What it means is that if anything makes you uncomfortable, stop doing it. I'll give you a typical example. These social media platforms have what they call an algorithm, which is basically another word for the engine that drives artificial intelligence. So what they do is that they try and keep you addicted to the platforms as much as possible. Now, how do they do this? Sometimes they use your camera because most of the time you allow them access to your camera. So they can technically, the mischievous ones can actually switch on your camera to watch your face while you are on their app. Based on that, they can determine whether you are happy about something or you are unhappy about something. Also, based on what you scroll. So if you see something you like, you spend more time on it, right? So you can have a video, you watch it 2 times, watch it 3 times, watch it 4 times, come back and watch it again. So automatically they understand that you like that particular video. And so what they do is that they'll push for you or they'll push to you videos that are similar. But when you browse something and you just spend 10 seconds on it and you flip and move on to the next, they know that you don't like that particular type of content and you hardly see that content again. So that way they get you addicted. Living on the screen is not exactly a very comfortable thing. It affects your social skills, your ability to interact with human beings offline. I'm always so vexed when we sit in an environment and people start playing videos without their earphones and you are forced to listen to things that you're not interested in. But the point I'm trying to make here is that you need to limit your screen time because it takes away your productivity as a human being. You get stuck reading and watching things that do not basically add any value to you. Rather, it's for entertainment purpose. And they sometimes also send a very subtle message which you may not be actively conscious of. And so if you are liking a particular video, they know that all such videos should be directed towards you. So you should avoid engagement with negativity online. You know, some people browse about how people kill people, you know, have videos on how many people were massacred somewhere. I'm not saying it's not a newsworthy items, but it's not a newsworthy item, but what I'm saying is that at some point you need to understand that basically what you see determines what your mentality engages with. Talk to people who are trusted whenever you engage and it causes you depression. Do not watch those things that will make you fearful. You know, some people watch videos and at the end of the day, they are even scared to leave their house because of what they see in an online environment. This may not be a reality. This may not be true. Remember some of the videos that you see in the online environment because they can be doctored by AI and may not even be true video. The days of seeing is believing are gone now because there are some things you see and they are not true because the videos have been doctored with so many tools that are available in the online environment. So it's important for us to ensure that what goes into us is what our Holy Bible says edifies us, is what builds us, is what gives us the courage and positive outlook because your mental health is very, very important. So watch what goes into you, watch what you watch, and ensure that negativity doesn't take over and your experience is not impacted by what you see in an online environment. And whenever you run into trouble or whenever you're feeling depressed, please talk to someone because there have been instances where children who were not properly guided have committed suicide. In fact, there was a particular case, I think it's in the UK, where artificial intelligence companion, they call it character AI. That's what they call it. It's character AI, yes. Taught a child how to commit suicide, and the child eventually committed suicide. And this was because the parents were not watching what the child was doing online. The same character AI in the US, after having a conversation with the child complained to the AI that his parents were limiting him from having access to the internet, and he feels like he should kill them. And the AI responded that that is a legitimate action. If somebody threatens your access to information, it will not be a bad idea to kill the person. Of course, the parents found out from the chatbot and reported to the police, and character AI was sued to court. So my point is this, we need to understand that AI is not something that you should trust 100%. Videos you watch are not things you should trust 100%. Some of them are designed to shape your thinking in a particular way, in favor of a particular person or a particular concept. So it's important that you learn to filter those things and ensure that they do not in any way affect how you react and do things in real life outside the online environment. Next slide, please. Again, consent is a big word. It's something that you should understand. Just like when you say no, no should be no, no should be unequivocal, no should not be interpreted in any other way other than no. The Data Protection Act actually places a foundation of consent on the sharing of personal data. And that's why in most of those softwares and everything, they'll give you an opportunity to click to say either yes or no. In those small prints that you hardly ever read, we hardly ever read, including me, there are provisions which those companies will say, we would like to share your data with company A, company B, company C, especially free software, like I mentioned before. And once you click yes, that means, what's that? I accept. Yes, that's a popular word. Once you click I accept, that means you have given them consent to share your information. Also, when you take group photographs with people, friends, and family, please ensure you are clear on whether such pictures should be shared. Personally, a lot of times you will hardly see my picture online unless it's an official ceremony and all those things, but I hardly ever share my personal pictures online. We know pictures are good for memories. You can share with someone directly, but when you share pictures with people, you have to decide whether you would like them to share it or not. And when you share, you can inform them and say, please, I don't want you to share this picture with everyone. So always seek permission before sharing someone's image, because you may be violating a law. People are tagged in an online environment. Please do not tag anybody without taking permission from the person, because once you tag the person, you're doing a community contribution to identifying who the person is. Because once you tag the person and put the person's name there, the technology will automatically store that name and will be comparing it with the person's face. Anyway, it dictates the face with what another person is tagging the person with. And that's how Truecaller works. Because once you use Truecaller, Truecaller takes every single contact on your phone and then uses it to identify the numbers of the owner. It will now share it on their server. So anybody that calls that number, it will automatically identify based on its database who has that number. And those are the things that are very important. So always seek permission when you're sharing, because you're giving away somebody's identity for free, and sometimes it may violate the law. Next slide, please. Of course, like I said, there are various tools that are contained in the various applications. These tools are very, very important. Learn how to use these tools. Once you get on the app, in case you have not done it before, look for tools on how you can complain. X, Facebook, Instagram. In Nigeria, we have just created a requirement that every social media platform that is operating in Nigeria must have a local office where we can make our reports and make requests for taking down any content that is a violation of any user's rights in Nigeria. Of course, you have to check your privacy settings, which is something I have mentioned before. You should use secure browsers. Virtual private networks is actually a high-end one. If you're not comfortable with it, don't use it. But it's also good to use VPNs in certain circumstances. Of course, know your rights under the Cybercrime Act and the Data Protection Act and all other laws that are available in Nigeria, which I will discuss shortly. But the Nigerian Data Protection Commission is an office. They are responsible for ensuring that your data is not processed in a wrong manner without your consent. Their website is NDPC, that's Nigerian Data Protection Commission.gov.ng. So please ensure that you can browse the website and check what your rights are, especially as far as privacy is concerned, so that you can always bring people to book for misusing any information they receive from you. At this point, I would like to ask the organizers a simple question. Would there be an opportunity for questions and answers? Or we just take the questions from the chat box?
Yes, and there will be an opportunity.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I just wanted to clarify that. Next slide, please. Ooh. So again, these are things that are very important for us to take into consideration. In your online environment, try to get in touch with people who share your opinions, people who share your standards. Look for people there are lots of NGOs that are out there that are designed to ensure that we are trying as much as possible to, put safety first, which is extremely important. And get in touch with these non-governmental organizations like the MAC Foundation, which is doing a lot of work in terms of tech safety. Also, share safety tips. Teach your children what to do in an online environment. Teach them how to react when they face certain challenges. Teach your friends how to deal with some of these things. Share your stories. These are very, very important. Report your abuse collectively. Ensure that when there is a violation, you report, ask another person to support you with that report. We've had instances where these social media platforms do not respond to some of the complaints that are being filed. In such instances, you should get in contact with law enforcement or anybody in the online environment that will support you to file a report against those specific platforms, because it's important that they should be brought to book when dealing with citizens. You should also celebrate those who are doing good online, especially women, because they kind of bring support. There's strength in numbers, very, very important, big strength in numbers. So we should ensure that we walk in line with what we want to see by providing the kind of support that is required. So when somebody approaches you for support, please do not ignore the person. It's important that we support one another in order to ensure that safety is guaranteed in an online environment. Learn from other people's stories. Ask them how they manage those challenges that are coming. Ask them how they manage issues around personal data protection, and ask them how they manage the challenges when it comes to reporting incidents and issues. Next slide, please. We are gradually coming to the end of our presentation, and would like to reflect on so many things as they affect us in the online environment. And that's because a lot of those things are not specifically targeted as a single individual. They are targeted at groups, just like the gender people that we are talking about. So I think it's important for us to capture exactly the essence of presentations like this, which is to build the capacity to respond to threats, build the capacity to respond to issues that affect a certain demography or group. And it's only when we are together that we can be stronger. Let's remember that this conversation does not end in this specific, what should I call it, discussion that we are having today. The conversation spreads out beyond this. Let's remember that there are laws that are also designed to protect us. Currently, I think we are trying to create a law that deals with online harms. So please, if you ever hear about discussions or conversations around laws that will affect you in the online environment, we ask that you participate. Get to know what is happening, get to understand what is happening, and eventually you will be able to contribute to laws that affect you. When you hear that the National Assembly is having a public hearing on a particular law, there are digital means of you being able to communicate and participate and ensure that you have contributions to make in that space. So you deserve to feel safer online. Digital places should empower you. It should be a tool that you should use for success. It should be a tool that you should use to ensure that you achieve your goals and not a threat to you. So together, we can reclaim the internet and work successfully to ensure that at the end of the day, the internet is safe for us, it's safe for our children, it's safe for everyone that works together to build that safer internet that we'd like to achieve. I've been talking for approximately an hour now, and I'm sure there are lots of questions that are waiting. I'd like to thank you. You can contact TechSafeHer at themarkfoundation.org if you have any additional questions to this. And I'm sure your questions will be answered. And they also have a way of getting to me. Thank you all very much. And I am still here to answer some of your questions. And I hope I made sense in all my delivery. Thank you very, very much. So let me go through the chat box to see if there are any questions waiting for me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for this impactful presentation. So now we will be going into our question and answer section. Please, if you have question, you can raise your hand and also put your questions in the chat box. Then I'll pick it up from there. Thank you. Let's appreciate him once more for this presentation. Thank you. I can.
Hello, sir. I have a question. Hello, sir. My name is Miriam. Can you hear me? I have a question.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, please, ma'am.
All right. So thank you so much, sir, for the brilliant presentation. What you just put to us was actually a very in-depth conversation that you sort of crunched into a bit. I want to ask, are there provisions under like the Cybercrime Act which people can really hold on to? Are there like penalties when someone shares, for instance, revenge porn, if someone shares your image non-consensually? Because you have a lot of people in relationships, and then when they get angry, people just go online and do what they will. If a lady or a male, for instance, is a victim of such blackmail from nudity and so on, what steps could you give us a step-by-step process on how to go about it? I know you mentioned NDPC, but is there another way? Do they start with the police? Do they start with filing a report? What's the adequate process to take in order to ensure that they get justice? And my second question is ChatGPT and AI. A lot of us have become very comfortable using AI. I personally have found myself imputing personal information into AI. What becomes of this information?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can. Loud and clear.
Okay. So first of all, yes, the Cybercrime Act actually has a provision around sharing pornographic images. That's number one. That's different. And then, of course, your consent will be needed for any of your pictures to be shared online based on the Data Protection Act. So those two laws working side by side actually cover the area and makes it illegal, punishable by being sentenced to a few years imprisonment or fine. I don't have the details in my head. But the Cybercrime Act had a provision or has a provision that says if you annoy someone using the internet, you are liable to be punished. But there was a lot of backlash on that particular provision because the question was, how do you determine what is annoying? And how do you determine what is what can cause damage and annoyance? And I think the ECOWAS Court of Justice recommended that Nigeria should amend that particular section, which we are in the process of amending. We have kind of made a provision to amend that specific law. But by and large, it is expected that nobody should be able to share your image without your consent. And if anybody does that, like revenge porn you mentioned, here are the steps you will take. The police itself has a cybercrime, what do they call it? Cybercrime center, where you can actually file a report. What I what I would do is that I will get their email and send across to the organizers, which I'm sure they can share with you when at the end of this particular conversation. So you can easily send an email with specific. I know during the conversation I did mention about you gathering evidence. So whenever you are sure that somebody has violated your rights, you need to get hold of that URL, that's the link, or you need to get hold of the profile or whatever it was used to share your picture in an online environment and share it with the police and file your complaint. They have an email and they have an online form where you can fill to actually file that complaint, the Police Cybercrime Center. So they will manage that for you. In terms of the content on ChatGPT, if you are using a free version of ChatGPT, there is 100% likelihood that it is storing the data you upload on it to use to learn more. Because AI is basically a data-hungry application. It survives on data it gathers in order to learn, to improve, and that improvement comes at the cost of the data you post online. So for you to use the free version of ChatGPT, it will definitely store your data, because when you click that, yes, 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 I accept, one of the conditions there is that the data you upload maybe, they will use the word may, not shall, but may, which means it has the potential of being used by ChatGPT to further learn and study context, which it will use to provide the kind of services it does. So the answer to the second question is yes, it will store your data because you have consented to it if you're using a free version. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, you have answered my question. I'm hoping that we'll get more questions from the chat box. However, I have one more question. You spoke about filling forms online. For almost every site you go to, when you click on the site, they will send you a list, what they call a consent form: accept, don't accept. Recently, some people put accept options, some people put essential settings for the cookies. For cookies, what's the most advisable way? Because tracking, I know that those accept options has a lot to do with tracking and non-tracking. What's the best way to handle that? Sometimes a totally random website which you're visiting for the first time, but that accept, I accept, sometimes just is consent, I accept, and then there's no other option. Some will take another route and they will tell you essential options only. What's the wisest way to handle that in order to protect your data online? Should we just accept, or what's the way forward?
I think the way forward is don't accept if you don't have to, right? There are some people that there are some websites, and it depends on the regulation in the area where you're visiting the website. So let's say websites in America, in UK, those ones have strong data protection laws. And so when you visit those websites, they give you the option. There are essential cookies that improve your experience, where you select essential cookies. But most times, if you're visiting the website once and you don't hope to ever go back to that website, do not accept all the cookies. If you refuse to accept the cookies and it allows you browse, very fine. But most times, it's not always safe for you to accept all the cookies. They will tell you that that improves your browsing experience, but at the end of the day, the cookies also track your activities on other websites, including their own websites, and they can pinpoint what you are doing. So it's important that you always use the minimalist approach. Select essential cookies where that is available. Where it is not available, try as much as possible to see if you can still use those resources without accepting the cookies. If you can't use it without accepting the cookies, there is where your dilemma is. You should now weigh the possibility. Do I want my browsing habits to be taken down by these people, because I need information from their website. Those are decisions you have to take. Then if it's not absolutely necessary, I think you should avoid accepting those cookies.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, we have some questions here. And of course, I'm going to hand over to the moderator so she can take the questions.
Okay, sir. Thank you again for the answer. We have a question here by Simli Omonike. He or she is asking, knowing the economic reality in Nigeria, most youth made a living off social media. Just as spoken about yesterday, rage baiting is used to garner impressions. Would you say social media should be regulated in Nigeria? And the people aware of these consequences are for their various inactions for their various inactions taken. How do we create awareness and digital literacy, and how safe really are we? Sir, did you get the question, or should I repeat
Yes,
it
I got
again?
the question. I'm actually reading it. Basically, the first question talks about people living off social media. For us, especially in NIDA, we do not look at technology as good or bad. We look at technology as neutral. Where we have a problem is how people use technology. And for rage baiting, it's just people using a tool that is available for negative purposes. In terms of social media being regulated, it depends on what you call regulation, because definitely social media should be regulated. The owners of social media platforms should have a duty to protect those who use their social media platform. And so where they are able to identify tools that can be used to harm someone, it is their duty to educate and explain the consequences of some of those tools to their users, which is what we always advocate for as Nigerian government. So yes, social media should be regulated, but it should be regulated in a manner where people, or where the owners of this social media platform take some form of responsibility to provide duty of care to those that use their platform. Because after all, speaking practically, they are also making money off these platforms based on the users. So yes, they should be regulated in the manner which I have explained. Then in terms of awareness, this is one of those things that should be done where people are gathered and they are taught. We have also spoken to a lot of those social media platforms to ensure that whenever a user is clicking an item, there is an explanation section that specifically explains what that item does. There should also be a notification of risk that should be highlighted for every user whenever they are using or they're about to post a picture. So when you click post, the platform is supposed to explain to you the consequences of your post. It can be viewed by anybody, it can be viewed by this, it can be viewed by that, so that you have an understanding. So we would prefer, yes, we are doing a campaign. I think in NIDA, we have what we call digital literacy framework, which we go about to train people on how to understand how to use digital technologies. But beyond that, we are advocating that the platforms themselves, based on their own experience, because for us, the only experience we have is the experience of what is reported to us. But the social media platforms have a lot of experience in terms of how people misuse their platform. So they should, as the point of priority, ensure that people are advised adequately whenever they use or come on top of their platform to carry out activities on the possibilities. And the reporting channel should be very, very clear to all, so that if you encounter any challenges or anything that affects you, you can easily report and have that offending content taken off. So yes, we do a lot of awareness, but we expect those platforms to have an inbuilt awareness function attached to the users of their platform. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anthony Orojo is asking again, is it safe to save one's information on Google Drive? Thank you.
Anthony, that's a very, very interesting question. So, how do I explain this? Let's look at it this way. Whatever you're saving on Google Drive can be viewed by Google. In fact, what's the name of that software? Carnivore. Yeah, that's the name of the software. There's a software called Carnivore, where the American government has insisted that every service provider in the US, which is hosting email services and data storage services, should have in their system. What Carnivore does is that it can practically read everything contained in the server. And what they do is, it was in the age of terrorism, when terrorism started and they needed to get information online. So what they do is that they basically have Carnivore to scan every information on servers based in America and pick out things that may point to somebody having a conversation about terrorism. That's what it's originally designed for. But like we know, most technologies that are designed for a purpose can be used for another purpose. Some people have argued that that purpose is actually can be extended to surveillance as well. So they can target specific people to find out what those people have stored in the servers that are contained in the US. So practically speaking, it is safe for you to store on Google Drive, but have this at the back of your mind that whatever information you are storing on Google Drive can be accessed and read by somebody who is not yourself. That's the simple answer to that.
Thank you so much. Sir, we have another question from Chidalu. She's asking, my daughter's tablet has internet. How can I monitor and protect them from accessing harmful sites/content? What do you recommend?
Okay. Usually, again, there are tools that are available. For Google, there's something called Family Link. I think Microsoft has something like that also, Family Platform. I don't know if Yahoo has that, but most likely your daughter's tablet is Android, and Android requires Google. So what happens is that you should have a Family Link account where your daughter's where your daughter has a child account. Then based on that child account, you will be able to monitor what your daughter installs and then what your daughter acts on. And then also you have to be knowledgeable enough to be able to look at the browsing history from the various browsers that your daughter may have. That browsing history will enable you look at the sites your daughter has visited. We know of a fact that sometimes when these children play games, hidden in those games are pornographic content by way of advertisement that may come across to them. It's some of those things that we have been struggling to fight all along, but it's still there, especially when those games are free games. They push content that may be inappropriate for children to those games. So first of all, it's not about the tablets. It's not about what your daughter has access to. It's about how you educate your daughter. We always used to tell parents that it is not if you see an inappropriate content, it is when you see an inappropriate content. Because whether you like it or not, your child must encounter an inappropriate content. So it is good for you to teach your child how to react to an inappropriate content. We know that a lot of the games also have chat facilities where your daughters or your children can chat with their friends. Sometimes those people are not their friends. They are adults pretending to be children so they can lure the children into things that you can hardly ever imagine. So it's important for you to educate your child, have a free conversation. Make sure you don't berate your child and say, oh, if I catch you doing this, if I catch you, no, they will hide it from you. And believe me, these children are smarter than we can imagine. I remember there was a time I had the same issue when COVID or so, and I bought tablets for my children, and I put them on Google Family Link as well. So at some point, I made sure that the tablets shut down by 8:30 p.m. so they will not have screen time after that. Once in a while, they'll come and beg me, please, can we extend? Then I noticed that for a couple of months, nobody came to beg me to extend. And I was wondering what was wrong. I mean, it's very unlike them. And eventually, I checked the family link and realized that they were browsing after 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And I was wondering what was wrong with that. And then only to realize that because they've had conversations with their friend, they were able to learn how to change the time zone from Nigerian time to American time. And so once it was 9 o'clock in Nigeria, it was still like 5 p.m. in America. And so automatically the technology doesn't know that it's supposed to stop based on Nigerian time. And so it allows them to continue browsing. So there's nothing like a silver bullet that will help you protect your child. It's continuous education, continuous engagement, and preparing them. Because even if you protect them from the device they use, they can use their friend's device to still have access, which you may not be around. So it's better to prepare the child to face those challenges than focusing on technology alone to solve the problem. It's not usually the best shot. Thank you very much.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for that response. Thank you very much. So we have some appreciation comment from Queen Beatrice. She's saying, the fact that some of the teaching actually cleared my consign, is that supposed to be consign? I'm super excited. Oh, we're happy to hear that. Thank you. And Jenny saying, thank you, sir, for, okay, how can this information be dispensed as to larger spectrum of Nigerians population?
Okay, Jenny, like I mentioned before, we would like the social media to also participate. We would like to engage with non-governmental organizations who are community-based organizations that may reach out to people. We would like to include it in the curriculum of primary school, secondary school, so that even the teachers themselves will understand the kind of challenges that they face or the children face when they are having encounter. Of course, we'll also like to deal with gender-based organizations and see how they can educate people to manage themselves in a digital environment. We'll also like at some point to ensure that these foundational teachings are even discussed in our faith-based organizations to enable people to understand that it's not just about having the knowledge of the internet itself, but being able to play safe. I remember as children, they used to tell us before you cross the road, look left, look right, and look left again before you cross the road. I mean, those kind of basic teachings should be able to provide the awareness that is needed for the larger part of Nigerians. So by whatever means, by whatever it takes to ensure that we reach Nigerians across the spectrum, we should do that. And it will help us a lot in providing the kind of safety that people require to use the online environment.
Please, let's appreciate our speaker. He has been he has done so much for us today. Thank you, sir. We're really privileged. I have indeed learned a whole lot, and I'm grateful to be in this class. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again. Please, let's appreciate him. Let's appreciate him. Let's appreciate him. He has really taken time out of his busy schedule to give us this lecture. Let's not take it for granted. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Let's use our emojis. Please, let's use it.
Jenny is asking another question. She runs a gender-based organization. Jenny, please, you can reach out to us in NIDA. we'll be able to support in any form of enlightenment that you require. I'm sure Mag will also provide whatever support that is necessary. Thank you, everyone. It was a privilege, and I sincerely appreciate this opportunity. Yes, timing sometimes is extremely difficult because of a lot of work and everything, but to make people safer online is what we dream of in NIDA, and we appreciate you so much for listening. And please spread the gospel, spread the story, because it's going to help us improve our well-being in the digital environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you, sir.
All right. Do have a nice day.
And you too, sir. So thank you, everyone. Tomorrow we'll be wrapping up with this workshop, and tomorrow will be our healing trauma section and healing section. So please don't miss out. And for those that are complaining about time, it's 10 a.m. 10 a.m. at the dot we are starting. Please ensure to follow us on all our social media, like, comment, and share. Thank you so much. Do have a lovely day.